Hello, everyone, and welcome to Henry Kissinger Is Pokemon Going to Die Not a Threat?
Just a fact.
I'm Matt, aka Antifa Lockhart.
I'm Alex Leafcrunch, aka Justin Tube Doe.
Oh, like a funny aquarium.
Yeah.
We went to the aquarium in Toronto last week.
It was so nice.
I regret to inform you that aquariums are good.
Despite the constant negative press,
A queefy?
a quaffy.
A queefy.
A queefy.
Unfortunate. The aquarium was really good, though, and we hung out with a bunch of friends and vaguely celebrated a bad holiday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to celebrate Canada Day is just kind of walking around downtown Toronto.
Yeah, suffering.
Suffering because of the heat.
Yeah, and then just drinking as much cold beverage as you can possibly imagine, and then skipping town before celebrations actually start because it's too hot.
And then watching Spider-Man Into the Spider-Man.
And then watching Spider-Man Into the Spider-Man 2018 film.
It was good.
It's a real good one. It was a good time. Speaking of, there is another even worse holiday celebrated 3 days after Canada Day, which has all of our other hosts not present today. They're all doing some kind of shit for that, for the bad country that's even worse than this one.
Kind of a Canada one.
So we recorded our last episode prior to the Democratic debates, so we couldn't actually discuss any of them. And we're still not going to do that, because fuck that.
I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say. A bunch of milquetoast centrist garbage. It's fine. So we're just going to talk about some other shit instead. I'm chilling. Looker's nearby. He's just sitting in a chair looking all sleepy. I got my
so
crushed
bad.
blue raspberry, and I'm ready to fucking party.
It's summer.
It is indeed summer. So we got a couple of things on the docket. I suppose they're more like interest stories than they are like, big leftism stories. But, podcasting is fake anyway.
True, and also anything can be leftist if you try hard enough.
Yeah, let's talk about how the rights of passengers is leftist. I mean, there's an easy way to do this one.
Yeah.
Everyone should be doing trains, and trains are inherently leftist.
It's true.
Ayn Rand, don't interact.
Don't interact.
Anything you say about trains is not valid. So there is a passenger bill of rights that just passed through the Canadian. It's passed through like the Canadian House of Commons and is currently in the Federal Court of Appeals and is being appealed by like several agencies. So Air Canada, Porter Airlines, along with 17 other applicants that include the International Air Transport Association, which has some 290 member airlines, are basically saying that these new regulations are bullshit. And the regulations are for like financial penalties for late flights and financial penalties for losing luggage, which are two things that seem like they should be obvious.
Yeah. And overbooking, which is like, it's absurd that can even happen.
Overbooking is just a capitalism problem, right? Like
right.
They overbook to essentially make sure that their flights are full. You should absolutely be compensated large amounts for being bumped from an overbooked flight.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that gives people who don't necessarily need to make it the next day the incentive to take it. Because otherwise no one fucking wants to do it.
Exactly.
And then you get things like that one doctor who was like dragged off the plane and beaten.
Yeah.
Remember that whole thing?
I sure
do. That
was
less than 2 years ago.
Oh, God.
So...
was it Delta or Union?
I think it was Delta.
Either way,
but, don't quote me on this, and don't fact-check me either.
Don't fact-check me.
I find it really funny that all of this is, coming to, like a big head at the same time that, Air Canada's looking to purchase Air Transat to make it so that there's even less airlines in Canada.
Right, because the thing that we need is less of them.
Yeah, we functionally only have two large airlines, which are Air Canada and WestJet, and Air Transat offers, the odd option for anything on, the Eastern Seaboard. They do a lot of Florida flights, they do Cuba flights, they probably do, New York and stuff as well.
Yeah.
They're based in Montreal.
As long as we're, talking about air travel in Canada, it's worth noting that traveling up north can cost, up to $2,000.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely insane.
One way.
Yeah. And if you need any kind of cargo, it's hundreds of dollars. And most of the people who are flying up there are going to be trying to bring stuff, either supplies for yourself or supplies for people who live there, because it's prohibitively expensive to live up north.
Mm-hmm.
And like these are often places that can't be reached by other infrastructure. Like you can't get to Iqaluit any way other than plane.
Exactly.
Because it's on a fucking island.
It's on a fucking island in the middle of ice.
In the middle of ice. So like even if you were able to get a train all the way to like the edge of Nunavut prior to Iqaluit and take like some kind of ferry across, that still wouldn't really make any sense. Like it only makes sense to fly up there. And yet, like, it's prohibitively expensive. So that's one thing with Canada. And also with Canada, we have so few airlines, so little competition. One of the main contenders used to be a Crown Corporation. I don't know if WestJet also was, but it fucking probably was.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so, like, as a former Crown Corporation, it had, like, a functional monopoly for years and then was just put into the private sector to make money and became horseshit because that's how it happens.
Because that's what happens when you privatize things.
Yeah, so...
It never improves anything for anyone but the shareholders.
Exactly. And you want to hear the big leftism for this one?
Yes, please.
Nationalize it.
Nationalize planes, deplane the skies, get trains everywhere. On my way from Ottawa to Toronto last weekend, I got onto 4 different kinds of trains because I'm counting streetcars because they don't have those here, and they're very exotic to me.
They rule.
Trains are good.
You also, like, when we were in Toronto, we were only on the good streetcars the whole time. We didn't have to get on any of the old ones.
True.
Which are absolute dog shit.
I'm
like,
sure
they're 10 years older than me, and they're so sweaty.
Yeah, we went to
and they're also really loud.
The nice flooded, the word is, shore. Waterfront, that's it.
The waterfront. Yeah, no, the waterfront was nice. We basically just went to the Toronto waterfront and laid down in the grass for a couple hours. It was sick.
Happy Canada Day.
Yeah. We should expand the use of public spaces for greenery, because anytime we were in a park, it was like 15 degrees cooler than it was when we were just walking down the pavement.
It's almost as if having trees everywhere is good for everything.
Yeah, no, it's actually super nice. Speaking of trees and speaking of climate, I saw a good article on the CBC today.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to fight climate change? Plant 1 trillion trees.
1 trillion trees.
Just 1 trillion trees. So this is it's a study out of Switzerland from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich. So it's essentially saying that it is the cheapest way to fight climate change is just to plant a bunch of trees. But, you know, trees take a really long time to reach maturity.
They do.
And also 1 trillion of them?
1 trillion, it's fine. It's worth noting that the best years for like carbon intake for trees are the first years because they're growing really fast at first.
Yeah.
So like we would get results quickly with this.
Okay, thank you, Science Side of Tumblr, for this.
I mean, I just read further into the article for that.
Wow, goes to show me.
Also, so yeah, this article estimates that there are 3 trillion trees on Earth now. So like, just for every tree you see, for every 3 trees you see, just plant 1.
For every 3 trees, plant 1 new tree. It does note certain countries are, of course, better for this than others.
Mm-hmm.
So Russia, United States, Canada, Australia, Brazil, and China have the most room for new trees. Brazil's a funny one to have on here, given that their current government is mostly about deforesting.
So that's the thing, is that there's obviously a need for resources.
Yeah.
But that need isn't as big as the unfettered growth that capitalism insists on feeding. We can like log sustainably while also regrowing forests, and like there's all sorts of ways of selectively trimming forests and like taking trees that can be spared and planting new ones right away.
Yeah. The problem is that like the essentially the profit motive generally wants people to make short-term gains.
Oh, exactly.
With like no look towards like long-term stability. So for things like for lumber, like a large lumber harvest is going to be a huge windfall to your stock value.
Exactly.
For that financial quarter, and then you don't even need to think about the next financial quarter until it's that next financial quarter. And then eventually, like, this becomes, I mean, it's already unsustainable, but it continues to become more and more unsustainable. And, like, agriculture is particularly bad for this, considering the fact that we're, like, stripping all the topsoil off the United States, and the United States feeds, like, a large portion of the Western world, especially in California.
Yeah.
And, like, the removal of topsoil and the removal of like nitrogen from the soil and remover of other nutrients. I don't remember who said that, but there was a quote, and it's basically like the entirety of the human race owes to its existence the like foot and a half layer of topsoil and the fact that it rains.
Basically,
like that is the only reason that humanity was able to survive and thrive and expand is because we have the fundamental things necessary for agriculture.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, like the profit motive does not encourage like that kind of sustainability, and that's why they all need to be guillotined, and forestry needs to be nationalized. That's
true.
Too.
So yeah, that's the thing is that replanting is always seen as this kind of like, oh, you do it in your gap year. You like maybe it's just Canada, but like, oh, you go like do a summer of planting. Like you make 25 cents a tree and you go as fast as you can.
Yeah, I know Linus's brother did that last summer.
Yeah, and if you do that, like that's a great experience and good for you for like getting in on the ground floor. But this needs to be. We have an entire like. There are literally people whose job it is to like serve the interests of the country who like are trained to do grueling work, and instead of like planting trees, they're killing people.
Yeah.
Like imagine.
Well, I mean, that's like a big thing about like essentially the labor market in general is that so much labor is filling just useless jobs in the service sector.
Exactly. Like imagine.
And like this could be something the government literally pays people like decent money to do, is to go plant trees somewhere.
Like imagine, it just like it's such a no-brainer. Like it's a short-term solution and a long-term solution. Like
yeah, like it's almost. I mean, I kind of did it at the top, but it's tempting to scoff at this article, but it makes sense. It's like committing to long-term sustainability is something that requires like a huge amount of planning and forethought, something like planting 1 trillion trees would be.
And 1 trillion trees, like that's a huge number, like don't get me wrong. But
yeah,
like say that of the 7 billion people on Earth, 1 billion people like get involved in this. That's 1,000 trees each. If you do 10 a day, that's like 100 days.
Yeah. And like expect much smaller numbers and much slower pace, and it's still sustainable. It's something that could be reached within 10 years.
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember how many trees Sudbury planted, because Sudbury, Ontario, which is my hometown, won like a UN conservation award for tree planting.
Nice. Because you wanted to hide the crater.
Well, essentially, Sudbury had like open smelters. So they would just lay a bunch of logs on top of the ore and then light it on fire. And so smoke would just like pour over, and it killed every single tree. Just every single one died.
Yeah, of course.
So, okay, Sudbury, which is a pretty small town with not that many people in it, planted 9.7 million trees in a period of 40 years. So like expanding just by population, you could probably do it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And like Sudbury has a lot of fucking trees now. You wouldn't like, unless you have a particular knowledge of trees and you could tell that they're all pretty young, you wouldn't necessarily know that they were all like planted within like the lifetime of most of the people in the city.
Right. And the other thing about trees is that like they aren't just like a solution in themselves. They like increase diversity, they protect wildlife, they provide shade, they provide like soil retention, all these things.
Soil retention's a big one. Like
it's a huge one.
Mudslides and floods are a huge problem in a lot of places right now that some better greenery could solve. Because like that was a huge problem with the Haiti earthquake. A lot of mudslides happened because the place had basically been strip mined of trees.
I mean, yeah, like it's like if you remember like back to the Haiti earthquake and the satellite images of Haiti versus Dominican Republic and like that line where trees are just like gone. It's literally like it's a management issue, and I'm not blaming.
They were still paying colonial debt to France until that year, so
yeah,
I'm sure it was mostly French multinationals who were doing it.
Absolutely, it's environmental justice. Like it's in the interest of everyone to have greenery.
Yeah, exactly.
And like also trees shouldn't be everywhere. Like there's obviously spaces for other biomes. But
well, yeah, this article even takes into account like existing city space, existing road space, existing agriculture space.
Yeah,
like just like a purely like topical geographical argument. There's still plenty of space.
there's so much land that's been deforested in the past 200 or so years that we trees grow slowly, but in the long run, pretty quickly.
Plus, all that melting taiga and tundra, fucking plant some trees there now.
Oh, true.
The Arctic Circle has moved north, baby. Let's plant some trees.
Time to move in.
We can move up.
Maybe the trees will keep the methane inside the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Lest we have further global warming. But actually, did you hear from the premier of Alberta? Global warming is a fraud engineered by foreign-funded environmentalists.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, laying aside the fact that 90% of oil extracted in Alberta is extracted for a foreign multinational, mostly American.
Oh, that's irrelevant.
Not relevant to the discussion. Just a fun fact. Jason Kenney's United Conservative government is going to spend $2.5 million on a public inquiry into foreign-funded special interests. I see that he did change it from environmentalists just to special interests, as if the environment is a special interest and not the planet we all have to live in.
Special interest also sounds a lot like a dog whistle.
It is. So Premier Jason Kenney lumped together environmental groups and more in announcing year-long inquiry. And this is separate from his war room, which is essentially people he's paying to post around the clock. He has paid posters.
God, I wish that were me.
God, I wish that was my gig. I need someone to fund I need someone to fund the opposition gig, so me and Kate Jacobson from Alberta Advantage can have jobs posting in opposition to Jason Kenney. I would just love to be paid to post. So the inquiry will be headed by accountant Steve Allen, who will have no legal authority beyond the province and cannot compel testimony for a possible public hearing. So basically it's just literally so that they have more propaganda.
Right.
And of course, these guys are all big about the free speech on college campuses kind of, bullshit rhetoric. And they say that the environmental groups have damaged Canada's industry and have not managed to limit consumption or production of fossil fuels around the world, which, yeah, true. It's very funny, Jason Kenney has this huge opposition to the Liberal carbon tax, saying that it hasn't really done its job, and he's right. Worst person you know just made a great point. Because the carbon tax is kind of a bullshit Band-Aid solution. It's fake activism. It's saying we're doing something about the problem while doing so little, and that so little is enough to possibly lose them an election. So why not just do something good?
Imagine doing something good.
There was the Alberta Advantage episode that was a post-mortem to the Alberta election, basically said the same thing about Notley's NDP. It's once the United Conservative Party was formed, there was no chance in hell that the NDP were winning that election. So what they should have done is put strong, long-lasting policy that could not be immediately undone by the incoming government. They should have just been doing politics, but they refused to do that. And that's kind of the Liberals. Because they don't have any positions or anything.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's the neoliberal mindset.
Yeah, just don't. I mean, we all know that NDP does stand for never do politics. It's just the truth.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I know Americans are all hating being in their election cycle right now, but our election is actually this year, and it is physically going to kill me.
Yeah, we're all gonna die.
It sucks so bad, dude. There's a chance that no one forms a majority, and that's honestly all I can hope for at this point.
That's literally that's the best case scenario.
But one of those cases is the Conservative Party getting a minority. And then, the Liberals will absolutely support all their legislation, because that's what happened last time the Conservatives had a minority.
Because they're fucking spineless.
It's because the Liberals just voted with them, every fucking time. And this is why you should never vote for a Liberal. If you're gonna vote for a Conservative, fuck you, first of all. And second of all, it's at least you have a position on something. If you're voting Liberal, you just stand for nothing. You don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
And, the NDP has actually been really good this election cycle.
They have.
They've been putting good policy forward, And I hope that like once the actual campaign gets going, that they can gain some momentum back. Because like the NDP's like huge orange wave that they got in the 2011 election, like this early in the polls, they were nowhere near the numbers they ended up getting.
Interesting.
Like those numbers came later.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. Like polling is by and large just bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
But we probably get a good idea of it. Like, you know, actually closer to the election.
Yeah, and just
the polls that are closer to how the votes end up actually going.
Just to remind all the international listeners, the provincial elections in Canada have been going on for the past year or so, and those have all been really bad.
Every single one has been bad.
Every single one has been,
except for the BC one was the last good one.
BC one was all right.
Yeah, it would have been better if they captured a majority, and it would have been better if the Green Party of BC wasn't involved because they kind of suck on labor issues.
Yeah, man.
But they've still managed to hold together the coalition, and the BC Liberals are not in power, so that's
Green
nice.
and Red Party.
What if they were that?
What if they're the Red Green Party?
What if they were the Red Green Party?
Oh shit!
God, if we ever do episode 3 of Field Guide to Canadiana, it was going to be on the Red Green Show.
Oh, absolutely.
We're literally going to watch several episodes of the Red Green Show for it.
It's good.
Maybe we'll do it someday. Maybe. This is going to be the second week in a row that I promised to revive an old podcast of mine that fell off the wayside. So everyone just hold me to it. You have to bully me, please. Please bully me.
Bully Matt into the podcast chamber.
Yeah. So that's probably good for Canada stuff for now.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us through that.
Yeah, I hope you all didn't just turn off the podcast when you realized we weren't going to talk about American politics up top.
But I guess now let's nosedive into that.
Yeah, so CNN quoted a literal white supremacist.
Did they maybe present his views as objectionable in any way?
No. They just said he was a white nationalist who attended the protests in Charlottesville. He said he believed the left, which includes Antifa, which is like, that's a sentence,
so kind of
is just as dangerous and if not more dangerous than the right wing could ever be. Like, coming from the guy on the right wing, you think he might have a biased opinion on this?
I mean, he was on CNN, so maybe he has a point.
And like, this is the guy who was like, this is the one who was doxxed for being at Charlottesville. So he's particularly mad because like he, I think, lost a job over this. Mm-hmm. It's the one where he has like the shitty haircut and he's like screaming towards the camera.
Yeah, he looks like a shitty like General Hux.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a shitty General Hux.
Imagine if
but
General
also
Hux
sweaty.
Was bad.
Yeah, no, imagine if General Hux wasn't played by Donald Gleason, who's good.
True. Yeah.
I think he might be a little biased on this one, CNN.
Maybe. But,
so
fair and balanced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fair and balanced is Fox News' thing.
Right. But I mean, just news in general has to be fair and balanced, which means you have to interview Nazis. Yeah, you have to interview the Nazis and present their opinions as if they're like, normal, regular things to say. CNN says, "I'm sorry for being a journalist," and the other person in the meme says, "Interview this Nazis." Man, speaking of people who aren't journalists, Andy Ngo claims to have been hit so hard by a milkshake that he got a brain hemorrhage. Okay, so is this the concrete milkshake thing? It's of the same story. They're of the same, like, the concrete milkshake was like a thing pushed by him and also Fox News and also Mike Cernovich. So, like, three trustworthy sources. And it was the same protest. They were in Portland. And need I remind everyone that Portland police was caught fraternizing with several far-right organizations so far as having, like, active group chats in which both are present. And Portland police found a bunch of, like, heavily armed right-wing, like, militants, like, perched on a roof with guns and decided not to tell anyone about it until later when they posted the pictures of it. Well, they're very busy. Yeah, so, like, Portland police, which famously has just a wonderful, like, comfortable relationship with the far right, was apparently not able to protect Andy from being hit by a milkshake so hard that his brain broke. And he's, like, he was let out of the ER, like, the next day.
and was like perfectly fine speaking and talking to anyone who went anywhere near him. But yet he's like making claims like he had a bowl full of fruit that he dropped on the floor because he has like motor processing issues. And you could tell he absolutely just Googled symptoms of brain hemorrhage and is just trying to make tweets around them. And then, yeah, the concrete milkshake thing, like the thing you gotta know about cement is that it famously mixes really well with sugar.
And milk.
Like sugar and cement are famous. Like cement sets really well when you mix sugar in with it.
Right.
Like, either they weren't milkshakes and it was just cement in a cup, or there was no cement in the cup. But I mean, this seems like a good idea. Why don't we just fill cups with cement?
I mean, like, you gotta hand it to them. That's
I like the idea. Yeah, well, I mean, they're just skipping a step. Like, what are some vegan alternatives to hitting a Nazi with a milkshake? How about a brick?
How about a brick?
How about a brick?
What is a
Try to prosecute me, Portland police. I don't fucking live in your bullshit country.
But a liquid brick.
A liquid brick.
Brickwood.
I mean, one could shit a brick.
True.
Could you shit a liquid brick? That would probably smell bad. It'd be fun to hit a Nazi with that, too.
I think it would smell better than poo.
I mean, if you shit it, it's probably still poo.
No, it's cement.
Wait, is anything that comes out of shit, is it all poo?
Do Gorons shit cement?
Damn. Stephanie, do Gorons shit cement? Stephanie? Do Gorons shit cement?
I think Goron... I feel like they just shit smaller boulders.
Is it still shit if it's coming out of their butt, even if it's just rocks?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, we got the expert Zelda opinion on this.
Corn still shit if it comes out of a human butt? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's right.
She's right.
So yeah, just... I guess we're going to be throwing liquid cement at Nazis now.
Thanks for the idea.
Thanks for the idea, guys.
Can we talk about the patriotic sneakers?
We gotta talk about the patriotic sneakers. So Nike had unveiled a line of Betsy Ross flag sneakers.
Buddy, they won't even let me fuck it.
Buddy, they won't even let me fuck the shoes. So I guess the Betsy Ross flag is like one of the early. It's like the earliest design of the United States flag, right?
Mm.
I don't know shit about the United States flag because I don't give a shit. But it's like. It's one of the ones from when they had less states.
I think it has the 12 stars, yeah, in a circle.
Yeah. So, essentially, it has basically just de facto become a white supremacist symbol, as many, like, old shit has.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite as the same as, like, the Confederate flag, because, like, you know, it was flown by everyone and not just people who were trying to secede.
Right. I mean, they were trying to secede, but just from... Britain. Right,
from Britain, which is valid.
Yes.
That's like the one thing that the American revolutionaries did right is told Britain to fuck off. We should all hope to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially Nicki Minaj had made some Betsy Ross patterned sneakers and pulled them after let's see. I'm trying to find out like what actually led to the decision.
I'm just trying to think of a Dan, Nikki, or Bobby's joke with shoes.
You keep working on that as I just read this.
Okay,
so it had basically just been appropriated by like a patriot movement, patriot in scare quotes. And fuck, this is a Fox News article. No wonder I'm not finding any useful information. So essentially they pulled them. And then people became really, really pissed at Nike, as they did when they signed like Colin Kaepernick to an ad deal. And essentially they started making like alternate designs of here's some shoes that Nike could sell instead. And one of them, which was posted by Donald Trump Jr., were like just red shoes with like a yellow hammer and sickle on the side.
And the sickle
looked
was
fucking
the Nike swoosh.
sick.
It was.
Right, yeah, it was a hammer. It was a hammer and sickle in the Nike swoosh, and they looked so fucking sick. And I want them so bad. What would you wear on a shoe?
I would wear. That's a good question. Can I go back to the? I have Doc Nicky or Martens.
Doc Nicky or Martens, okay.
And what I would wear on a shoe, it would probably be the One Fear, No Fear Simpsons Porn Illegal One Fear comic.
True. Would it be One Fear on like the left side of the left shoe, and then like inside of both shoes is what if they made Simpsons Porn illegal, and then the outside of the right shoe is One Fear.
Yes, so you have to like take the shoes off my feet to find out what the fear is.
Or you just need to like stand pigeon-toed.
Right, which I never will because I'm not a coward.
Yeah, and just reveal the Simpsons porn. Also on the shoe.
To be clear, the words Simpsons porn, not the Simpsons porn.
Oh, well, I guess that makes you the coward.
I guess you're right.
I would probably just have like Industrial Workers of the World patches just on every square inch of the shoe.
Oh, nice.
And also have the front of it look like a bullet train.
Oh, shit. Shoes are kind of like trains.
Shoes are kind of like trains for your feet.
They're kind of like, they look like trains. And they're called trainers.
Shit, I think we cracked it. Everyone, in accordance with Nike and the fact that shoes look like trains, we have declared that shoes are leftist now.
Shoes are leftist.
Shoes are leftist. They are no longer a capitalist commodity. They are produced only by the state. All sweatshops have been destroyed and the workers have been freed.
Sandals are reactionary.
Sandals are reactionary. Yeah, that's where we're standing on this right now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed podcasting with us.
We're a shoe company now.
We're a shoe company now. I mean, we could just have Henry Kissinger's face. If you put Henry Kissinger's face on the front of your shoe, anytime you kick something, you're hitting his face into it.
What if he was on the bottom of your shoe?
If he was on the bottom of your shoe, that would be much better. It'd be Henry Kissinger's head, like right near like the front of the foot, and then like a snake body, and then it says "Please no steppy."
Please no steppy.
By golly, do you steppy?
Please no
You're
steppy.
steppy all over.
Henry Kissinger.
Please no steppy on Henry Kissinger. Hello?
Hello. That's what he said. Instead of squeaking, the shoes say hello.
Yeah, it just says hello every time you make a step.
I think we cracked it.
I think we cracked it. I think we've solved shoes.
This is how Bernie can still win.
This is how he's running.
He's running.
He's running shoes. One more piece of news to get to before we move into questions today. It's a sad piece of news. Miss Major Griffin Gracie suffered a stroke on the morning of July 4th. She was one of the original, basically like the origins of the transgender rights movement, and was also, present at Stonewall. Yeah,
which, if you don't know, the 50th anniversary of that was just a few days ago.
Yeah. Which is she's one of the only major leaders of the movement who are still alive, because the other ones were, likely killed or committed suicide. So the fact that she is still alive is something that we should try to keep. Exactly. So we're gonna link to her fundraiser in the show description. She's actually had an active fundraiser going for years to fund her retirement, which has gotten trickles every here and there. Mm-hmm. But hopefully this can lead to some more substantial donations for absolutely. Someone who's such a strong member of the movement.
Mm-hmm. My heart goes out to her, and I hope she has a speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got questions. Some of these are really old. We just wanted to work our way through the back of the inbox. I deleted ones that are really, really time sensitive, or which were about specific topics we were discussing, just to get to the real good stuff that's just sitting in our inbox.
Sounds good.
So we have a question here from Dr. Balls Dandy. Good URL, thank you. If the ghoul Jesse Thorne offers to put this podcast on Maximum Fun and get you those fun bucks, would you do it? And they didn't ask why or why not. They just asked why not.
I would do it for 1 trillion trees.
I would do it for 1 trillion trees. If Jesse Thorne personally went out and planted 1 trillion trees by himself, I might consider doing it. I don't know. I would if this podcast was financially sustainable, especially because I'm currently fun employed. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't want to have ads for Max Fun shows. Because every single fucking Max Fun ad is completely insufferable.
I've
heard that Ono, Ross, and Carrie is a perfectly good podcast. Their ads suck ass.
Maybe I'll listen to it one day. I have no intention of doing so anytime soon, because
even the Mabim Bam ads I'll hear sometimes if I ever listen to the Flophouse. Those ads are not good. They are not flattering at all. And this is why Noise Space shows don't currently have ads, because no one has discovered a way to make a podcast ad that makes your podcast sound good. And so we just haven't done it.
What if Noah and Summer did, "Hey Noah, why don't Well, summer. Blah, 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 blah. That'd be good.
Yeah. I mean, one day we'll actually make ads and stuff. But, at best, I'd hope that Noise Space is just like, essentially doesn't cost me money, which it had been until relatively recently.
Donate to the Noise Space Patreon.
Yeah, Noise Space has its own Patreon, and you don't get anything, but you just give me money directly. Currently, it actually, since the way Patreon is set up, it makes it so that Noise Space is just like my personal Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, all it does is pay for a portion of the pledges that I give out every month.
Still.
But, that is, in effect, money in my pocket, because it's money that I am not spending.
Exactly.
So, that is supporting me directly. The server, actually, it cost me about $20 a month to run it.
Nice.
And the domain cost me, $12 a year. Not very expensive. The server's used for other things, but, it's particularly good for podcasting because I have unlimited bandwidth on it. So I don't have to worry about that unless I get, ludicrously popular, which none of our shows have gotten ludicrously popular. I don't think anything's ever broken 1,000 downloads.
Which is fine.
Maybe one day.
And none of our podcasts will ever have Lisa Hannawalt telling you she's horny, so that's the plus.
Is that the Horny Idiots one? That's Baby Geniuses? That is the worst ad I've heard.
And, I'm sure Lisa Hannawalt's an interesting person. She's one of the creators of BoJack Horseman. But
yeah,
I'm not going to listen to her
Tuca
podcast.
and Birdie, which by all accounts is very good.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's good.
And, it's all based around her art style, which is also very good.
It's great. I'm not going to listen to her podcast, because
actually,
she's horny on it.
I take it back. The ads for Judge John Hodgman actually make me want to listen to it, because I like John Hodgman.
That's fair. I don't have any opinion on him, and those don't make me want to listen to him.
That's fair. So yeah, why not? Because Jesse Thorne is a ghoul.
That's T. And
Jordan Jesse Go ads
mood.
are actually the worst ones of all of them. That is T and mood. We have a really, really fascinating, just theoretical, strong leftist question from Anonymous here.
Mm-hmm.
Mario and Luigi were born in Italy. Wario and Waluigi are their perfect opposites, which means they must have been born in a country that is the opposite of Italy. What country is the opposite of Italy?
So I'm going to do some, word analysis here.
Mm-hmm.
We can maybe figure out... So if you take Mario and invert it to Wario, what you're doing is, making the first letter upside down.
Okay.
So if you take the first letter of Italy and turn that upside down, you get Italy. So that doesn't really get us anywhere.
Okay.
But if you then take Waluigi and you turn that upside down and you get Maluigi. Maluigi. If you take Italy and you turn that into Middly.
Okay.
Or
now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. And then you take the Y of Italy and turn that upside down into an A, or a Greek aleph. Then you get... Oh no, sorry, is it a delta? What's the symbol in Half-Life?
I'm pretty sure it's just a lowercase delta.
Yeah. So if you take the Y and turn it upside down to a delta, you get Whittled. Okay, with you so far?
You've kind of lost me.
Okay, so it's simple. So you take the I of Italy, turn it upside down to get an I. Then you take the Wa of Waluigi and put it onto Italy. And then you take the Y of Italy and turn it upside down to get a delta, which is a D. You get Whittled.
Okay.
So it's Wittgenstein.
The physical antipode of Italy
is Wittgenstein.
Is in the direct center of the ocean.
Oh.
Just so the opposite of Italy is the ocean. Wario and Waluigi are canonically mermen.
Oh, so I mean, Whittled is watered. So that makes sense.
That makes sense. I think we cracked it.
I think we cracked it.
The opposite of Italy is Whittled, which is the ocean.
Which is the ocean.
Got it. We got a short one here from Windfall Island. Hi, Alex Leaf Crunch. I have a question for you. Chekhov's knife truck.
True. So
have you seen the knife truck lately?
I saw it a couple of weeks ago.
Did you get your knife sharpened?
No, he was too fast.
I mean, you feel like the knife truck has to be a little slower than an ice cream truck. Because an ice cream truck, the kids hear it, they know it's ice cream. They don't really have to bring anything with them. Maybe money.
Yeah, you have to
get your knives ready. You ideally want to be going. You don't want to be running with knives, literally.
You have to have your knives ready at all times, just in case the knife truck comes by.
Like, is there a sign you can hang up for the knife truck and be like...
Oh, maybe.
Just
like
hey,
a
symbol you can give so that they know that your soul doesn't need to be taken that day.
So it'd be like a cracked bell.
Yeah, like a cracked bell. Haven't seen any one of those before.
No, can't think of any.
Can't think of any cracked bells.
I think Chekhov's knife truck would be if you hear a bell ringing in the first act.
It's probably a knife truck.
It's a knife truck, and the knives will be sharpened by the third act.
The knives will be sharpened by the third act. Okay, that makes sense.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Congratulations on the popular post from several years ago.
It's a good post.
We have one more question from Tumblr user Mike Dawson. It has occurred to me, I guess this isn't really a question, it's more of a statement. It has occurred to me that perhaps the reason Democrats attempt to appeal to the moderate right is that it is the safest option and requires the least effort, the lowest amount of changing their policies, and the least likely to affect their wealthier members and donors. So, Dan has so eloquently put what I stated in my thesis earlier in the episode, which is to be a liberal is to be a coward.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, the Liberal Party in Canada is the Democratic Party in the States. They are remarkably similar in many ways, many of which include the fact that they just have no policies and that they're super beholden to wealthier donors. Although Canada does have slightly more strict campaign finance than the States does. We do have a lot less, like, super PAC activity and stuff like that. And you also you can't officially influence it as an American. Like, you have to put it through, like, shell companies and some bullshit like that. So, a lot of the same bullshit. So
it's the same bullshit.
They're all cowards.
They are.
So that's all we got today for this episode of Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. So we'll get through the show closing stuff.
Kind of a light and breezy one.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of light, we do have light bringers.
True. Do you have yours?
I don't have mine ready to go.
All right. I will do mine then. Just like Matt does podcasts for his recommendations, I have kind of been on a streak of doing YouTube channels. So I have another one here, which is called Red Gardens. It's not as communist as the title implies, or at least not from what I've seen so far. But it's a Canadian guy living in Ireland who lives in this eco-village, which is probably kind of like, in some way, like bougie fantasies of living off the land kind of thing. But he does actually do like experiments with small scale farming and community farming.
Nice.
And the video that got me into him is this video about his compost heap, which is a basically no rules compost, where all the rules about like, oh, can't put bones, can't put like dog poo in there, can't put anything in there.
Throw everything in the compost.
Exactly.
Baby.
Yeah. As long as you like turn it over and like sift through it for like unbiodegradable stuff.
Yeah.
You can compost a lot of organic matter. And he's one guy, and I'll put a link to this video in the description because it's just like so much good organic stuff coming from just this community's waste. Yeah. And one guy is turning it over and like spending a few hours a day in his gardens and like providing fresh compost for the whole community.
That's so good. This is
like kind of related to like the
agriculture sustainability tick we were on earlier.
Exactly. Like I'm kind of in a deep rabbit hole of that right now. And I'm just like, there's so many ways that we can improve our relationship with food and with the land and with each other. Yeah. And those are all connected. And I think this might not be the guy's intention, but it gives me a lot of hope for like what small scale things can do in the future when this kind of information is more generally available, and when there are people actually working towards this everywhere.
Yeah, that's I generally feel about stuff like that. It's always just good to have the information out there. And of course, like, the personal on the level of compost, reducing your own personal waste isn't something that's going to make a huge dent, but it does, like, just help your own situation. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, if this were to be enacted on a more industrial level, and if waste wasn't like waste management is like a generally private system.
Yeah, and it's
which is why so much recycling just ends up in the trash.
It's extremely broken as it is now.
Recycling has been completely pretty much unsustainable for years. The only thing that gets regularly recycled properly is glass, because it's the easiest thing to clean.
Yeah.
Like cardboard is mostly just thrown right out.
And in the last couple of years, like our Western recycling, we generally just ship it to China and they take care of it for us.
But they're not interested.
They've said, no thanks, like we don't need this stimulus anymore, or, like we have our own stuff to do.
Well, especially with countries like the Philippines, which got like a huge shipment. They would get huge shipments from Canada of quote unquote recyclables, and they got precisely 69 shipping containers, which were full of like hazardous waste, including dirty diapers that was labeled as recyclables, and it sat in a port in Manila for 6 years before Canada agreed to take it back.
Holy shit. And like this was
private corporations acting, and the fucking government had to intervene because it was so mismanaged.
Exactly. And this is the kind of thing a lot of people are made to feel guilty over it, but it's not like an individualized issue. It's a systemic issue. I had a friend who was moving from his home in Halifax, and he was trying to get hazardous household waste to the recycling center where they take care of those. And it was open like 1 day a week for 4 hours.
Yeah,
and
that sounds about right.
The week that he was moving, it was closed because it was Canada Day.
Naturally.
So he had nowhere to, I don't even know what ended up happening. Like he had nowhere to put his hazardous waste that he was trying to responsibly take care of.
This is even like something that happens a lot internally. There was another article on the CBC Today about it's a community near Ingersoll, Ontario, where there was a proposed landfill that was supposed to become like Canada's 5th largest landfill in an old like limestone mine. So they were essentially going to take 17 million tons of trash could fit in this over the course of about 20 years.
Yeah.
And they're just not interested in doing it. They don't want to take it because it's so close to like living communities. It's so close to the groundwater. Like limestone deposits are always very close to groundwater, and so like you're burying this in shallow land next to like it's near the Thames River. Mm-hmm. So like this is like a main body that feeds southwestern Ontario, and this community draws from the groundwater. Well, and so like large cities are pretty much unsustainable as it comes to trash right now, and need to take like larger action to reduce personal waste. That's why like things like as much as it seems like just lip service, the single-use plastics ban that Justin Trudeau's proposing is a good idea. We shouldn't have single-use plastics. They're a large amount of the trash that we create.
Yeah. Single-use plastics are like almost always unnecessary, and like the times they are necessary, like those can be accounted for. Like more things should not come in packaging that isn't reusable. You should be able to that's why I really like the idea of bulk food stores. Yeah, like going to Bulk Barn is a process of just refilling a bunch of spice things and having bags that I can use for like 8 other things before they finally become unusable. Single-use plastics are going to be like so foreign, like even just to our kids, like that amount of plastic just being thrown away.
I fucking hope so.
Like there's no, like it's just
you
not
really,
sustainable.
really hope so.
There's not enough petroleum left.
Yeah, I guess so. That is like, yeah, that's another big thing is like the idea of peak oil was kind of like, it was almost like the fantasy of climate change activism is like, eventually we're going to run out of oil, so you should move quick. Like that was an idea that was floated. Yeah. And it is like definitely still an idea, but they're always finding new oil, and they're always finding new ways to make new oil. But like once that actually comes to pass, and like, you know, fuels are still using it, and we can't make plastics anymore, like you'd hope that the system would have changed quick enough to work with that. But you know, we're all going to be on fire, and the factories are still going to be making like ridiculously complicated plastic entrapments for my Nintendo Switch controller.
Right.
Where I cut myself trying to open it.
Which is a good thing, because it's for the Switch.
Nintendo Switch controller, good use of plastic. The case that the Nintendo Switch controller comes in, bad use of plastic. This is how we go. That gaming is valid.
Gaming is valid. Gaming is all that will stand the test of time.
Yeah, we should just nationalize gaming.
Nationalize gaming.
I think that's a good idea.
That's a great idea. Matt, what's your Lightbringer?
I'm actually going to buck my trend of saying podcasts this week.
Oh, shit.
And say my Lightbringer is that I'm spending the month in Oshawa with Stephanie.
Aww.
She's currently editing her podcast, her good podcast of City Girls, which is also on the Noise Space Network. It's City Girls Make Two, but I was burping in the middle of the sentence, so I stopped.
Valid.
like lookers here, you could possibly hear the girls crunching on their water bottle.
Oh, I did hear it.
Yeah, they're very loud.
They are. I can confirm the girls are loud. I spent a few nights sleeping on Steph and Matt's couch in Oshawa, and it was very nice. I love to have animals in a small apartment.
Yeah, Looker's nearby also, and he's, knocking on the walls of his litter box as he does, just hitting the box over and over again. He's wafting the poop smell towards me. Thanks, Looker.
He's ventilating.
So that's my Lightbringer, is being here for at least a month, and if things work out well, permanently.
Yeah,
it's the idea. We're hoping for it. Matt, good job. I do have to look more. I've been actually archiving my old radio show that I had in Sudbury. I've posted like 20 episodes of it, so if you want to hear like 2017 me talk about music that was relevant in 2017, you can go to my Mixcloud, which is mixcloud.com/MattGCN. Like, there's like more than 24 hours of radio shows on there that I've posted in the last week.
Pour one out for summer albums or summer playlists.
Yeah, I'm not doing those anymore because I have not been listening to enough music.
I respect it.
But there are 10 of them. I figured 10 was a good place to stop. I might release like a best of or something. Just an opportunity to put out like a version of it where there's like no one who turned out to be a sex pest on it. Because every playlist has one of those.
Every year the list gets smaller.
Pretty much.
But yeah, that's Lightbringers.
Yeah, so that'll be it for Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. You can find us on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. We have a Gmail. All of those are HKIPGTD. You can also get our Discord. The link is on the front page of noisepace.xyz. We also have a subreddit. Thank you for Bisexual Punch Party for setting that up for us. And thank you to the Taxpayers for the use of their song Evil Men off of Cold Hearted Town. It slaps.
It's a good song.
We're also on Spotify and Stitcher, which is remarkably easy. If you have a podcast and you're not, just do it. It's very easy to set up. And then, of course, we have our Patreon.
Yeah. If you donate to our Patreon for $1 a month, you can get access to all our bonus content, our audio Lightbringers, our post and pre-shows that we used to do, and we're hoping to get some more Cut for Time segments out soon. There's also... What else is there for $1? What can you buy for $1?
I'm pretty sure that's the bit.
That's the ones. For $5, you get to be a comrade in our Discord, and you get to...
You get access to the collectivized nicknames channel,
right?
Which allows you to suggest nicknames for us to use.
Stephanie put Thomas the Tanky Engine in the podcast chat channel, but I'm just going to move that to collectivized nicknames because it's good.
It's very good. We do love to see it.
For $10 a month, you can be a Conrad in Discord, and you get to listen in to our episodes live, as no one is doing right now, except for Stephanie, who's with Matt. But
yeah,
I guess...
she can only hear what I say. She cannot hear what you say.
And if she wasn't donating $10 a month, she wouldn't be able to hear him.
Yeah. Yeah, she has paid for this privilege of listening to me podcast. It's good, because we just donate to each other's Patreons, and it kind of just evens out. And by it love. Evens out, I mean Stephanie pays me significantly more than I pay towards hers. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's
and
feminism.
Some of mine goes to Alex.
It's not feminism.
And the one thing that everyone does get is a shout out.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, everyone 5 and 10 gets a shout out.
Yes.
So those $5 and $10 donors are Dr. Activisionary, Burgermeister, Stephanie Ruff, Pregnant Seinfeld, David Besser, Alex Shoup, Six Arm Sweater, Bryce, A Sexual Fish Tank, Bernie Sandor Clegane, Nick Verne, Alex Hoot, Dick Butt is the Real Jesus, Maximilian Rower, Tufster McGee, Bryant, Mogu, Nick Clarkson, Cadejo, Florian Siegel, Destry Hawk, Siberian Pine Hardwood, PR the Disaster, The Tallest Jew, Michael Weems, Non-Binary with Left Beef, Summergeist, Dijonais, Wooloo Friendship Brigade, Chaz Goblin, Paul Blart Fleshcart, Ollie Anders, and Ellen, the Anarcho-Lalondist.
In our hearts.
Yeah, she can change her name all she wants. That's still her title.
We know who she is.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for helping this podcast. It's a lot of fun to do. Happy 4th of July to everyone, even though that was yesterday.
Happy 5th of July, everyone.
May the 5th of July be with you.
May the 5th of July be with you. July the 5th be with you?
No, just may the 5th of July be with you.
How about this? Memento Pokemori.
Memento Pokemori.
And Semper Funny.
Bye-bye.
Hello?
Bye-bye.
Let's plant a flower. Let's plant a tree. Let's plant a fruit for you, for me. Let's plant a flower. Let's plant a tree. Let's plant a fruit for you, for me. Mom took me to the store today to buy some seeds and dirt. And when we got home, we dug a big hole and got right to work. We buried the seeds inside the ground and watered them with the hose. I couldn't believe how easy it was to make something grow. Let's plant a flower. Let's plant a tree. Let's plant a fruit for you, for me.
That's deep and true.
Bye-bye.